First of all, oh my gosh, are there a lot of fragrances? If you were able to watch my very blurry mini vlog of where I've been for the last bit of time, you'll know that I was in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. I went there with my family and there's a whole story there, but we had a great time. We were there over Christmas and it was fantastic. Of course, while I was there, I did perfume shopping. And this was my first really like deep dive kind of delving into Middle Eastern fragrances. I'm going to do another video, I think, where I cover more sort of my experience with Middle Eastern fragrance and that whole kind of world. But I'll say a couple things right at the beginning. First of all, oh my gosh, are there a lot of fragrances? Like tons and tons of brands I had never heard of. At the mall, at the souk, the vendors here and there, I mean, really just a lot. And even brands that I've heard of, like Swiss Arabian, they would have like a whole counter, a whole setup with just fragrances that I had not heard of, even though I'd heard of the brand. So it was a lot of fun and really eye-opening. Well, let me say this other thing. Also, like, everybody wears perfume. Everything is scented there. The mall has a distinct smell. The elevators, the hotels. I mean, most hotels have sort of some kind of scent that they put, but this was so distinct. It was so clearly intentional. And people, they douse themselves a lot more than I've noticed. I live in the US. I go out and I smell fragrance here and there, but it is like everywhere. Everyone, not really everyone, but it was so much more pronounced and prevalent there than what I'm used to. It was really something to behold. It was remarkable. I noticed it quite a bit. Let me get into this brand that I discovered, which was such an unexpected treasure. So we stayed in an apartment that is connected to the Sofitel Hotel. And there was a perfume counter at the Sofitel that I was curious about, but I was like, well, it's a brand selling their perfume at the hotel. I'm sure it's way overpriced. It's for tourists. It's whatever. But after having shopped in the local markets for a couple of days, I went back to the counter and I took the time and I smelled everything. I think they had like 6 or 7 fragrances on display there. It's a smaller brand. And I loved it. I loved so many fragrances. I bought 3, but there were at least 1 or 2 more that I would have been happy to have, but I didn't. That brand is called Constance Perfumes, and they sell their perfumes. I think right now their only boutique is at this hotel. Maybe they have had counters elsewhere before, but I will link their website below. Of course, they don't know who I am, right? Like, they don't know that I'm making this video. So, you know, I don't have any affiliation with them, but I'll link their website below with links to their perfumes and their contact information. I loved everything about it. I love the packaging. I love the smells. Now, another thing I learned about a lot of these perfumes is there's some intense notes there. There's some intense, like the oud is oud. It is like, I mean, they have some lighter scents and they have some stuff for people who are really just getting into it. But one of the questions they would often ask me is, where do you live? And I would say, I live in the US. And then they would totally shift gears and they would show me a whole different set of fragrances that they thought I could tolerate. Because I'm sure that's what they're used to. People just have a different palette. Now, not everybody, of course, but like, it was funny to watch them shift gears as soon as they found out where I live and that maybe some things are just going to seem like too much. And they weren't wrong about some of that. But this brand had a wonderful selection of, even for a small set of fragrances. Now, they still had kind of that oudi Middle Eastern like DNA vibe in a lot of them. Like, some of them were really intense and some of them had those intense bits, but like toned down. But I was so thoroughly impressed. I bought 3 and I'm going to share them with you. You really need to try this. If you can get your hands on these fragrances, you should look into them if these are the kinds of notes and scent profiles that you like. So let me show you what I got. I'm trying to be careful here because when I bought 3, they gave me this little like collector's box, which is really cute, but they don't hold the fragrances very snugly. So they will fall out. But this is what they look like in the box. Fabulous. This is the brand again. And let me tell you about them. Let me tell you about the 3 that I got, and then there was a couple. Well, let me tell you about one I didn't buy. There was one that I didn't buy, and it was called Ombre Wood, I think. Let me look it up right now. So I looked this brand up on YouTube. I wanted to see what people were saying about it. Nothing. I found no reviews anywhere. And in fact, every time I would search for the name on Google or YouTube or whatever, the only thing that was coming up, Changing Constance by Penhaligon's. That particular perfume, which is super popular and talked about a lot, it took me a minute to land on their website, but then I found it eventually, and it's just constanceperfumes.com. And let me tell you about the fragrance, the Ombre Wood, which I think is what it's called. That I was really debating it, and then I ended up not buying it. So it's in the Oriental category, according to their website, and it is top notes of bergamot, cardamom, cypress leaf, grapefruit, saffron, middle notes of Bulgarian rose, jasmine, nutmeg, and the base is atlas amber, cedar, leather, sandalwood, tonka bean, vanilla. It is a ambery, deep, somewhat sexy, a little tinge masculine, maybe because of kind of the leather and so forth, but woody fragrance. But it's not too, like, I would totally wear it. It's not so masculine. It's not so intense. It's not so incensey, smoky, leathery, any of that. But I decided not to, because these other 3, if I bought 3, I got a little bit of a discount. I would have had to pay full price for the 4th. Maybe I could have negotiated harder with the guy, but I was, I was ready to pick and move on. So the first one is Cascade Florale. So this is a floral fragrance. Obviously, it's a little fresher than the others. It's probably the freshest of them. And it's got florals. It's feminine. It's beautiful. I mean, look at, isn't the packaging just cute? I mean, this brand really needs more hype. Okay, so the notes in this one, top notes ambrette and pear, love. Middle notes rose and iris. Base musk, Virginia, cedar. This is a feminine floral, musky, slightly musky, beautiful fragrance. It's not too light. It's not too heavy. It lasts. It projects. And it's really elegant looking in the bottle. So, I mean, I love a good floral fragrance. I love a feminine, girly fragrance. It's not so, like, it doesn't smell like it should be in a bright pink bottle, right? It's not Barbie girly. It's just very feminine. The rose is a lovely, not too mature rose. The iris gives enough of the powderiness blended with the musk, and the opening, the pear and so forth lends just enough sweetness to just like keep it light and lifted. It's just fabulous. It is a fabulous, unique floral perfume that is very girly, and these prices aren't ridiculous. I think a bottle of this is maybe around $100 for, is this 100 mils? I think these are 100 milliliter bottles. You get a decent amount of juice for the price, relatively speaking. I mean, compared to like what we're used to seeing for fragrances. I just can't believe this undiscovered gem was sitting there just waiting for me to discover it. So I hope that if you can get your hands on it, you do. The next is called Vanilla Essence. This is a vanilla fragrance, which is not a surprise. What this is really is a vanilla coconut fragrance. It is almost equal parts vanilla and coconut when you actually spray it, at least in kind of the opening and middle. It's probably a little heavier on the vanilla, but the coconut is definitely there and it stays there. I love both vanilla and coconut. And I thought, what are they going to be like together? We're like, that is the whole fragrance profile. So the notes are, top note is coconut, middle is jasmine, lily, rosewood, base is vanilla, musk, and almond. It is beautiful. Now it's not, it's a bit of a linear or flat fragrance. Like it's vanilla, it's coconut, and a few other things to keep it interesting. And that's basically what it is throughout. It's like that in the beginning. And as it settles down, it just gets a little deeper, a little like stronger, if you will, like on the depth and kind of the warmth behind it. And it does last and it does project. So, but it doesn't totally change. So if you like vanilla and you like coconut, and you were curious what a relatively simple but not basic, if you get what I mean, fragrance would be like, then you want to try this one, Vanilla Essence. And finally, the third perfume that I got is called Stuck on You. I think this is the most complicated of the three that I bought. It's also the deepest of them. It's got more stuff going on that makes it kind of a little darker, a little more mysterious, a little more sexy for sure. The top note is lavender, the middle note is myrrh, and the base is almond, tonka bean, and vanilla. So it is a creamy, woody, but feminine fragrance with, and that myrrh can be strong. To me, that just gives it this kind of seductive mystery to it. And this one, I think, changes the most. So it starts off really pretty, and then it develops into something that's just like, you just want to keep, you're just like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's even nicer than it was an hour ago. And great lasting power. It's like the seductive kind of vixen of the line. Now, there are some that are even darker, deeper, probably even sexier than this one, but this is where I landed. This was within my comfort zone of like what I wanted to go for there. And I got a couple other perfumes while I was there, which I'll tell you about in another video, but I wanted to tell you about these three together. These stood out. Never heard of it before. No reviews that I can tell. You need to find out how you can get Constance perfumes in your collection if you like what you heard, because I think you will be pleasantly surprised. Now, I tried these out with my sister yesterday, because the sister who loves fragrance, not the one who really doesn't like fragrance. We tested these together. I tested them many times. I wore them like every day. I would try a different one like each day that I was there, and I would like wear it. And that's how I landed on these three. But I talked about these. I went over these with my sister, and she loved them too. So my husband's still there. He's there for work. I may have him pick up another bottle or two before he comes home. Maybe one for her, one for me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Check out the brand, check out the fragrances. As always, I really appreciate you. I hope that you will subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment to tell me what you think. Have you ever heard of this before? What are some unique discoveries that you've made over your perfume selection and searching journey? And as always, be blessed. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.